What's good, everyone? It's your boy Natsu with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMB Sports Zone. And tonight we got another special edition of Washington Football Weekly. Tonight's going to be with Josh Taylor. Josh, for all the people out there who might not already know you, which I don't know, might just be a few people out there, given your huge presence in the Washington football team community, can you please introduce yourself to the good people out there watching us tonight?
Yep, as you can see, this is my face. This is another copy of my face on a Washington football team cutout from the playoff game. I'm Josh Taylor, host of the Burgundy Network Podcast, part of the Believe Podcast Network. Pleasure coming on. Always a good time to talk about Washington football. Like I said, I'm one half of the podcast. My buddy Brian's a co-host down in Hotlanta, Georgia. So I'm repping the DMV up here, like I just told you. Been in Virginia pretty much my whole life, except for when I left for college, and I came right back. So apparently this is where I belong, near the football team.
Yep. And I mean, like we talked about off camera, we have so much to talk about regarding the Washington football team. But I'm going to ask you a couple more things regarding like you and like your history, I guess, with the team. The first question I want to ask you is, what has been your favorite part about being a content creator / pod guy for the Washington football team? What has been your favorite experience so far?
I mean, it has to be the one that just happened. The shirt here I got, training camp. I mean, I'm sure you've been seeing me talk about it like on Twitter. It's just because I can compare it to all the other times that I went to training camp. I mean, ever since it's been in Richmond, before RG3 was there. And it seemed like every year got better. Like I said, we looked forward to seeing RG3, Dwayne Haskins, seeing all these new guys come in. Met a couple Alabama players, which would obviously be one of my highlights. But this season, it was just completely different. And I said it on my last show, like before I would just go and just, either hang out with my dad or my friends that I go with, not really interact with anyone. We just all kind of sit and mind our business and just watch training camp. This year, just we were walking around talking to everybody, just interacting with all the other content creators that we have, meeting Jason Wright. I met him at the draft in Cleveland, but just telling everyone like, dude, just talk to him, just go up to him. Like he's the most chill, laid back guy you'll ever meet. All the beat writers, JP Finley, Pete Haley, Mitch Tischler, Zach Selby, all those guys that cover the team. They're just so welcoming. Like, oh, Josh, dude, like, good to see you. I've always seen you on Twitter. They've come on my show before, but just seeing you in person, they'll talk to you forever. And you're just like, all right, like, you just don't expect that as just, a regular guy that just talks about a team into a microphone. I'm sure you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just about to ask you because the people here on this channel know how much I am fond of Jason Wright. One, because obviously he's done a great job as the president for our team, but also he is a U Chicago Maroon, and I go to U Chicago, so like we share that connection there. But I guess I wanted to ask you, like, in terms of the training camp experience, what was like the highlight when it comes to on the field play for this Washington football team, and I guess the highlight off the field as well of that whole experience?
Oh, man, I'd say the best play we got to see, and I don't know if it's like a new look or what, but Cole Holcomb, he loves just like going no gloves now. It's just no gloves, no sleeves, nothing, just all natural. And he had this one interception where it was like a one-handed, like right behind his head, and he caught it, and he was running down the field, and Chris Harris started running with him, and he just took the ball and punted up in the sky and just started screaming. Everyone was getting hyped. Like, dang, like if Holcomb's doing that all season long, like it's just so weird seeing a guy no gloves. Like, if I'm sure people know like how much easier it is to catch the ball with that grip. He just bare hands it like behind his head like that one hand. I was like, dang, Holcomb, like, you've been doing some work in the off season.
Yeah.
And then off the field, man. So Joey Colby Bekovich, who's like the lead guy for fan experience for the stadium now. We'll see him tomorrow. That was our first time ever meeting him. And Rio, the guy that I hang out with a lot, Rio Robinson, he's one of the fan ambassadors, and he knows Joey just from the meetings and stuff they did. And he was like, guys, he's like, come here. Like, he had no idea who I was. He was like, follow me. I got to show y'all something cool. And there's literally this like party caboose is what we're calling it. It's like one of those like mini houses you see on like HGTV kind of.
I think I saw that on the vlog yesterday.
Dude,
yeah.
Sick. There's got like drink coolers inside. There's charging stations. There's a TV. There's like couches. There's a patio set outside. Then you can go up top like 12 people at a time. And there's like, like little tables up top where you can like put your drinks on and stuff and just like overlook everything. And he's like, oh yeah, we're bringing this to FedEx. Like people are going to rent it out and hang out for tailgates. I'm like, can you imagine like a 4:15 game and you're all just hanging out in FedEx Field watching like the 1 o'clock games on this giant TV. Everyone outside can see it because it's like a glass wall. in the front. And we're just tailgating for like hours before the game even starts and then going into the game. So you can tell, like Jason told us how important it was, talking about the stadium coming up in the future. But he wants to make improvements to FedEx Field right now. And he's like, the most important thing to me, like right now, present day, is making that experience at FedEx what it really needs to be for fans coming back for the first time.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounded like you had a lot of fun in training camp. And
I could talk about it all day. It was nuts. As you saw from the vlog, we saw everybody and did everything. And like Rio, like I don't know how he did it, but he was there every single day, every single practice. And like I was whooped from the 2 days I was there. Like I came back home like hurting. And Rio just lived out there for a whole week. So I was like, man, shout out to him because I could have done it. I was tore up.
No, that's crazy. I'll make sure to like link the blog as well for some of you guys who haven't seen it. But like that was insane. Just seeing like the whole experience and like you guys getting like the VIP access as well. That was really cool. As
soon as I saw Landon Collins the first 5 minutes of walking in, he said, "Hey, what's up, guys?" I was like, "All right, this is gonna be a good day," because that's my Mac Wilson, who's behind me, Reuben Foster, Landon Collins is my top 3 Alabama players all time. So him just being like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Like without any kind of like us like stalking him or anything, he was just getting ready, putting his stuff on. And he just like showed love to us. I was like, "Dang!" I was like, "Yes, this is gonna be a good trip."
That's crazy. But we do have to move on a little bit with regards to the Washington football team and something of news that came across Twitter, social media this past week was Washington's vaccination numbers going up. They're, I believe, at 84% vaccinated right now, at least when it comes to just getting the first dose. Not so sure about being fully vaccinated, but it is up from 60% just early last week. So I was wondering, do you think Washington, could potentially have their vaccination numbers just continue to go up? And still right now, they are among the lowest. They're not the lowest right now, but they're still among the lowest. I was wondering if you think that's going to affect us this upcoming season, whether it be notable players going down due to contracting COVID or potentially us having to forfeit games. Do you think that's as much of a problem now as it was just a week ago?
To me, like, there's a couple things really got to hit on it. Was first off, Matt Ioannidis had it last year, and then he got it again this season. And people are like, "Oh, well, all these players are getting it early, so we'll be good later on in the season." Like, not necessarily, because like Matt Ioannidis, whether he tested positive, whether he's vaccinated, I don't know. I don't think he was because he had a mask on at walkthroughs one day. Yeah. But the fact that he got it again, like, you just never know.
And the Delta variant too, more transmissible.
Yeah, and who knows like what else is coming forward? Like, knock on wood, hopefully that's it. Yeah. But seeing how we were dead last in the league, and then Ron just went on this rant how like after practice, his main thing was just how frustrated he was with these numbers. Saying like, me fighting cancer, like this is a team thing, and then you really have to see it from the player's perspective too. Like, yes, it's their choice. Like, maybe they aren't comfortable with it. Maybe they want more information. And then you see we bring in specialists, and it still was dead last in the league. A lot of guys, I remember like Montez Sweat came out and said something about it. We're like, oh no, this is gonna, especially here in the DMV and like Northern Virginia, it can turn into a political thing really quick and not a football thing, as you know out there where you are. So really you have to look at it as, yes, it could definitely impact the season, especially with, most of our NFC East games are all finishing out the season. If something happens in the middle of it or the beginning of it, there's all your hopes. Like, yeah, you're just hoping for a wild card spot at that point if you have to forfeit 3 NFC East games. But it's not something I'm just going to sit here and think about and be like, oh, man, like everything we're doing week to week could end in a heartbeat. Because I feel like the league did a lot, last year to really help out with that. We only had a couple times where something went bad. The Broncos-Saints game, I think a Bills game got affected by it with the Steelers. So I think they did a really good job. And I trust – the staff and everyone's going to do protocols. Kirk Cousins not here anymore, so there's not going to be some plexiglass cage in the room or anything like that. For all the guys who wanted to keep Kirk, Minnesota is enjoying that. But I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. If something happens, it does. But I think people don't realize enough that it could actually be something that affects the season. Now, that'd be terrible. Like, no one wants that. You don't want to, go this whole season long and then, week 12, 13, 14, boom, outbreak and you're forfeiting games. That's not what anybody wants, but it is a factor you have to think about. And it's encouraging that the vaccine rate jumped up that high, that fast. Like you said, before training camp, it was close to 50%. Now they're saying it's hitting that league mark of 85%. So big jump. You just got to hope, the right people are getting it and they're informed and people are making the decisions for themselves. But I'm not going to sit here and be mad at the people that aren't. I can't sit here and be like, oh, you should do it because I want to see you, play football and win games. I'm not that guy.
No,
I agree with what they want to do.
For sure. And we're already seeing the difference now. I think HCTR for Life, who's a big YouTuber, covers Washington football team. He posted the Logan Thomas interview with, I think it was Mike Garafolo from NFL Network, and Logan Thomas. Last week when he had an interview after practice, he had to wear a mask. You had to be like socially distanced. This week, that wasn't the case. So I think we could assume that he was one of the people who held out up until last weekend and ultimately got the vaccination. But yeah, I think we're already seeing the difference now, and hopefully we get those numbers up and we are good to go come the season. But I do want to shout out everybody in the chat right now. Gunner, Roger Smith, Hawk. Yeah, make sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. And Roger Smith coming in here with a question or a comment. Steven Sims Jr. has more upside than Humphreys. Burst, acceleration, agility, and flat-out quickness. Change your direction, too. I think he makes the team. I mean, this was a question that I put down on my notes document. I'll just ask you it here. Who do you think among the receivers will actually make the final 53-man roster?
That's tough because I keep thinking to myself, like, do we keep 6 or 7? 7 is a huge stretch. But I showed some love to Steven. Yeah. So you have to, obviously Terry, Donnie Brown, Curtis Samuel, all 3 locks. I think Cam Simmons is a lock after the season he had last year. So really you have 2 spots. And ideally, in my opinion, one of those guys have to be a return guy. I don't want Danny Johnson returning kicks all season long. Like, no offense to Danny Johnson. I don't even know if he makes the squad as a DB, let alone a return guy. So you have to cut out one spot. And when I talked to Lake Lewis, he said, dude, I'm telling you, DeAndre Carter's a lock because they brought him in to be a kick specialist. And people don't want to listen to me. They're like, how? He's not a good wide receiver. He's been having a really good camp. Like, every single day they're saying he's got speed, he's got burst, he's making crazy catches. I know I tweeted out one video of Ryan Fitzpatrick, a beautiful throw, and he dropped it. And that's that's the one play people are going to be like, well, he dropped that one. I don't care about that. Like, it's just one play. It happens. But man, Humphreys and Fitzpatrick have a chemistry that it's obvious. Obviously, they play together. Yeah. Buccaneers, they play together, and Humphreys is a vet. And it's funny, Ron Rivera talks about Adam Humphreys all the time after practice. He's like, yeah, Humphreys looks good. He's that vet we love. We need that on the team with a bunch of young bucks. I mean, Donnie Brown, Curtis Samuel, and Terry McLaurin, they're all like under 26? So, Cam Sims isn't that old either. So, I mean, you kind of need a vet presence in that wide receiver room. And that slot spot, they love Adam Humphreys. If he can stay healthy, I think they would give him the nod over Steven Sims. Mm-hmm. And does Steven Sims have more upside? Possibly. I mean, it's really hard to tell. He was an undrafted free agent out of Kansas, showed us some good plays, the run against New England, the kick return he had, a couple catches for touchdowns, like a season or 2 ago. But you just, to me, I give the nod to that vet guy because Steven Sims does drop a lot of catches. He does muff a lot of kicks and punt returns, which Ryan hates more than anything. Turnovers on special teams, you're flipping the field the wrong way. So if I had to pick one today, I'm going Humphreys. But it's going to be hard to say no to AGG and Kelvin Harmon too. That's been a really good battle to watch in training camp. But between Steven Sims and Humphreys, I go Humphreys.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if AGG makes the roster, 4th-round pick from last year. Everybody keeps talking about how, he's a 4th-round pick, new regime, should be on the roster. But, I mean,
that's my guy out of Liberty. I mean, he was like my diamond in the draft. I kept him in until the draft happened. Then I went nuts on our live show when we got him. I was like, yes, local guy, Lynchburg. I was all for it. I think out of him, Cam Sims, and Kelvin Harmon, he has the best skill set by a good bit, too. Like I think he's just a way better wide receiver. I'm just waiting for him to show it, which
Yeah,
he's running out of time. So
yeah, I was about to say he's running out of time. We'll see.
hopefully soon, AG.
I will say though, with DeAndre Carter, interesting because my first training camp like recap video for this year basically put DeAndre Carter on the thumbnail. It was actually turned out to be like the biggest video on this channel.
Really? Okay.
And yeah, and the funny thing is the title of it was like, what was the title? I said something along the lines of like, do we have a new slot receiver and it's not who you think, something like that. And I'm super high on DeAndre Carter. I mean, since day one of training camp, he's been showing out. And like you said, he offers that kick return, punt return ability that will probably give him the edge over guys like Kelvin Harmon or AGG, who, you know, pretty one-dimensional when it comes to just receiving versus special teams and stuff. But I think he has a good shot of making the roster. Do you think Dax Milne will probably go on the practice squad or?
Oh man. I would think so. It really depends who they keep out of the guys that do get cut. Like I could see Steven Sims going to the practice squad and over Dax Milne. I mean, I like Dax. He showed a lot of flash too. Had a huge season. It really helps when you have one of the top quarterbacks come out of nowhere like that, and he put up over 1,000 yards at BYU. Just had that 1 year production though, so that was kind of weird. He did nothing before that at BYU, and then he just exploded for over 1,000. Yeah, Zach Wilson effect. He airing that thing out. So yeah. It's not hard when you're that fast and you're that small. But yeah, I could see Steven Sims go to the practice squad, if not Dax Milne. They like him. I mean, he looks good. I didn't see like any bad Dax plays. Hit a couple little flashy plays at training camp, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. Some other training camp questions. I mean, first and foremost, I want to ask you about the quarterback situation. Ryan Fitzpatrick, do you think he's pretty much locked up the starting quarterback spot here in DC, at least come week 1? And if so, this is the trickier part of the question. How many games do you actually see him playing in this year with his history of injuries and also, of course, his stretches of great play, but then ultimately lackluster play right after that?
So I think he's a lock for QB1. I love Taylor Heineke. I love how he looks. You can tell a huge difference in his body. He's more muscular. He still plays that same way, holds the ball for a little bit and does that little duck move where he gets out of the pocket real quick and makes a play. And I love that about him. Like I wanted him to come out and, bigger body, can take hits more and stuff like that. So I was glad that he actually put that effort into the offseason. But to me, Fitzpatrick's clear-cut QB1. And I think a lot of people agree with it, unless you're part of like the Heineke hive and you're just all in on Heineke. I mean, I love him. I'm glad he's our backup. It's a heck of a backup to have, honestly. I like Kyle Allen more than him.
I was about to say, I'd argue that when Kyle Allen is healthy, he's going to be our backup.
And he looked good. To me, he had the best throughout training camp. It was like a 55-yard bomb. Forgot who it was. Might have been Dommy Brown. Dommy Brown had a great catch. And then, of course, he hurts his ankle. And I was like, really, Kyle? Like, I'm pulling for you, man. And he just wasn't helping me out. But I think Fitzpatrick plays the whole season. And the more I look at Fitzpatrick's whole career, yes, he has that, risk it all because I want to win this game mentality. But I feel like right now he has the best team he's ever been with, defensively, and then the weapons on offense. I mean, he's had some great receivers throughout his whole career, but I feel like with the whole team as a unit that he has right now, he has the better chance to succeed, where he's not forced to just throw these Hail Marys and risk it all every single drive. The defense is going to help him out. The run game with Antonio Gibson is going to help him out a ton and set him up to go deep. I mean, if you look and you have Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Dommy Brown, all three of those guys are going to kill it deep. And that's what he specializes in. We're not going to see the Alex Smith dump passes anymore. Like J.D. McKissick's stock to me went way down getting Fitzpatrick because that was Alex Smith's bread and butter. Second in targets by running back last season by Alvin Kamara's J.D. McKissick. And Alex Smith showed that. So I think with the weapons Fitzpatrick has, this is exactly the kind of team that he would want. And, of course, Logan Thomas in the mix, too. So I say Fitzpatrick all season, and I think he does some damage to the NFC East, to be honest with you, especially Dallas.
Okay. I will say this, though, in agreement with, your take. Everybody keeps talking about how Ryan Fitzpatrick has never made the playoffs or, has had winning success or anything like that. But a lot of people forget, I think it was 2015, went 10-6 with the Jets, and that team had half the talent that we have. So I think it really just depends on Fitzpatrick. If he cuts down the turnovers this year as he has over the last couple of years, I mean, the sky's the limit for this team, but just never know what you're going to get out of him. And I think that's the fun/scary part of him being the starter here. But
I feel like he's not going to have that mentality of like, I have to go win this game because we suck. Or like, we are down by 2 touchdowns and I have to do this. It's like, hey, if we punt this drive, I got probably the best partner in the league. And one of the top defenses in the league is going to be coming on the field and help me out. So I can play it safe this drive. It's 3rd and 5. I'm not, throwing a 30-yard ball. I'm hoping Terry catches it. What's up, Patrick? But I think his mentality is going to be a little bit different than how it's been in the past with the other teams because he's set up to succeed here. Not like, hey, Fitzpatrick, we need you to just air that thing out and pray it works.
Yeah. Doing a shout out. Hawk here with the question, is it a good or bad sign that our receiver room is looking better than our running back room? I mean, I think that's a good sign just because I feel like we're going to air it out more in this offense this year.
And Curtis Samuel runs a lot too. He had 15% of his snaps were run plays in Carolina. So, I mean, don't be surprised. There's a couple plays in practice when Gibson went out as a wide receiver. Curtis Samuel, I'm sure, will be cutting out in the backfield. So, that's gets me excited. Like, Scott's probably just, scheming like, hey, look, I can tell AG to go play wide receiver this play, Samuel in the back, JD McKissick can be like in the slot, something. And then you got end arounds. There's just a lot of speed, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do I wish the running back room was a little bit better? Yeah. Because if that, turf toe injury pops back up or anything happens to Gibson, we're looking at possibly JD McKissick, Peyton Barber, Lamar Miller / Jared Patterson. So it's a little weak after Gibson. That's been my one knock. And you never know. We could always sign a late cut guy. Like I've seen Raheem Mostert be the name that pops up a couple times. Guy Steve on Twitter mentioned him. I got a lot of buddies that cover the 49ers, and obviously I've watched Mostert play a lot. I like him if he's healthy. I think he could be a great addition, but it wouldn't surprise me if we add some late cut running back just for some insurance because I'm not too fond of Peyton Barber or Lamar Miller, to be honest with you.
I agree with you.
That's 2010.
2010, man. Lamar Miller. A lot of people forget, man. He had consecutive 1,000-yard seasons.
He was Pro Bowler multiple times, I want to say. Yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah. And speaking of beasts, I want to get your take on Chase Young and Montez Sweat's performance this far in training camp. And also, as a second part to this question, I mean, they've been going up against Samuel Cosmi, and I want to get your take on his recent struggles out there in training camp thus far. And do you think it says more about him just not being ready yet for the NFL, or more about the bookends, the stud bookends that we have in Chase Young and Montez Sweat?
Yeah, so Montez Sweat is one of the most impressive athletes. I've seen Derrick Henry up close in person, and I was like, holy smokes, that guy's not human. And then I saw Montez Sweat, and it was the same thing. He's bigger than Chase Young by a noticeable amount, too. And, his arm length, and you're like, oh, okay, that's how he deflects these passes at the line of scrimmage and just gets his hand up, and it's, right in the quarterback's face. Because it's, his wingspan's got to be one of the top ones in the NFL because it's insane. I was probably, they could only get 20 feet from us, but after practice on Saturday, they both came up to us and talked to us for, a solid 15, 20 minutes. Chase's mom was right beside us, and they were just cracking up the whole time. So that was just funny to see. They genuinely, and they hang out a lot. It's those two. They're always pushing each other, competitive. You see them talking smack, after plays. But it's honestly such a blessing to have those two guys as young as they are, on these rookie deals. I'd say it's the top pass rush duo in the league. You can say Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, so on, but to me, I think that's the 1 and 2 guys right there. But with Cosmi, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off here, but I will say this, and you will probably agree with me on this. I think Montez Sweat absolutely saved us in that 2019 first round because obviously we drafted Dwayne Haskins, number 15 overall. That was a complete failure, but we backed up into the first round and ultimately got Montez Sweat, but Yeah,
The fact that he fell that far was like, okay, yeah, we got to make a move, and I'm glad we did.
I feel like I had to say that because Haskins obviously is going to play tonight for the Steelers in their preseason game, but
fourth quarter probably. But but yeah, Sweat has been one of the biggest steals of the draft for us. And obviously, the draft is like a hit or miss kind of thing. I feel like it's like that for every single round. You know, you can get your Cam Curls in the 7th, or you can get your Dwayne Haskins in the 1st kind of guys. But Sam Cosmi, you know, our 2nd round pick, he did get bullied at training camp, but he's been doing much better since they put the pads on. And that's something we've been talking about a lot, like in my group chat and stuff like that. If you don't have pads on and you have Montez Sweat, Chase Young, you know, clubbing you upside the head, you know, on your shoulders, pushing you off, like that's not going to feel good after long. And like you do that for a whole week and you have those two guys coming at you every single play. Like it doesn't stop. Like you're going to get beat up. And it doesn't say anything about Sam Cosmi. I think they did it to anyone. They did it to Morgan Moses. They do it to Sheriff. Like it happens. You just get beat. But for me, as soon as he put the pads on, there's plays where he was, you know, shutting down Chase Young, you know, doing what he could, contain Montez Sweat and those guys. So I have no concerns whatsoever. I think Cosmi starts. I think that's why they're doing this right now with Sam Cosmi. You know, Cornelius Lucas has been out because of COVID and all that. But I think Sam Cosmi would have still, you know, been running first team with them. And I said this, like, this is the best pass rushers he's going to see all season. So, like, if he struggles now, good. This is, you know, iron sharpens irons, what I keep saying. And the offense, you know, if they're struggling in training camp, they're not, you know, making the plays, that chemistry is not there. Like, that's fine. That's not going to get any worse than this all season. Like, I promise you, this is the best defense we're going to face all season is ourselves. So I think Hobbs going to be a beast. He's bigger than I thought, which, you know, obviously is a big deal for offensive linemen, but you see how fast he is. Oh my gosh. Like if you look up his athletic score, it's like top 1 percentile all time in the NFL draft for tackles. And you see why, because that dude is quick. What's that, like 20-yard touchdown catch he had at Texas?
I think so, yeah.
He started scooting on the outside. You're like, okay. Like, I want to see some of those packages in the red zone, a little screen pass to Cosmi. That'd be sick. But no, I think he's going to be great. I love how he looks. And this is just going to make him better in the long run.
Yeah. And you love to see that, like, Washington over the last couple of years have drafted more athletic guys, right? Like, not just speedsters, but, like, true athletic specimens. Like, of course, you have Montez Sweat, just like you talked about earlier. Chase Young, of course. Antonio Gibson. Samuel Cosmi. I mean, just athletic guys.
This whole draft.
I mean,
way. Like,
crazy.
I think there's only 2 guys in this whole draft that were under, like, 86% in, like, the athletic rating score, which is insane. I think we're like 2nd or 3rd in the whole league, like with how many athletic guys we drafted this year alone. So like you can see that common theme. And that's what the NFL is, like speed kills. Regardless, you know, if you just watch the Chiefs, like Tyreek Hill, and then like that's just what they do. Just speed nonstop all the time, keep you on your heels, and just score relentlessly on you. And that's what we're trying to do, to be honest with you. That's what our offense is going to be now. With Eric Coryell, like we didn't get to see that at all last year because of the trash quarterback play we had.
Yep.
I've been telling people like our offense this season is going to look completely different.
Yep. And I mean, with the Chiefs though, it helps to have a guy that won't underthrow you as well.
He's not checking it down to Le'Veon Bell.
No. But speaking of speed, I mean, our guy Scary Terry has a lot of it, and I want to ask you about how you feel about the Terry McLaurin versus William Jackson III matchup shaped up during training camp. And do you think that, because I'm super high, obviously everybody's super high on Terry, but I think William Jackson has all pro ability, and I think he might show that this year. Do you think that both guys can truly be top 10 in their respective positions this year?
I think William Jackson's our best secondary guy. Like, I genuinely think out of everyone in the secondary, Kendall Fuller, Landon Collins, like all of them, that press corner, I love a good physical corner that's going to mess you up at the line and just be in your head all game long. And Kendall Fuller, he's more of like that off the ball kind of corner. Like he gives you a cushion. He just plays the ball more. Yep. But man, William Jackson's going to be up in your grill. Like if you watched when Cincinnati played the Lions, oh man, he would bully Kenny Galladay all game long. And that's what I'm looking forward to, that matchup again. But
2 times a year now.
Oh, but with Terry, man, he looks so good this year. I can't, obviously I'm biased and it's going to seem like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but he looks even better. And he worked with Doug Baldwin all offseason and worked on his route running. You can tell a big difference. Like before, like he would just kind of round out his routes, but now he's like digging deep in them and like making sharper cuts, which is going to help you get that separation. That's like the one knock he had was like his route running tree was kind of limited, but then also it wasn't as crisp as it needed to be. But you can tell a huge difference already. And I'm like, man, like this jump, even with Curtis Samuel, people say like, oh, you have all these targets now, like, sell in term coin. Heck no, this is the time to get him. Like if you do fantasy, like he's top 5. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's breaking 1,000 yards. Like I would smash that all day long. Like I think he does it pretty easily, especially with Fitzpatrick. Yeah. But man, those matchups and like those kind of matchups actually favor the wide receiver a lot. Except like the one-on-ones, like they just set up the DBs to fail. It doesn't like I'm not a huge fan of them, but yeah, you have nothing. Like you're just like risking it all every single play. Like, all right, I have no idea which way this guy's going, but I just have to be up in his grill and pretty much do a pass interference if I'm going to get a stop at all. But what I look for is like how Terry runs his routes and how he's, going up to get the ball and how William Jackson recovers. If someone does go past him, like what's his next instinct? What's his next move? But man, Terry, I could do a whole podcast on just Terry in training camp because he looked phenomenal. Like to me, offensive MVP was Terry, defense was Landon Collins, and it wasn't even close. Okay. Terry MVP.
He's probably going to be our team MVP this year. Well, I'm going to ask you a question regarding top players on this roster right now a little bit later, but I think I have a feeling where you're going to go with number 1. But I do want to ask you, just moving along the secondary pretty much with these next 2 questions. First off, what are your thoughts on how Benjamin St-Juste has performed throughout the offseason? And do you think that he's locked up a starting spot in this cornerback group already? Do you think we have two starters when it comes to our 3rd round picks this year, and Dyami Brown and Benjamin St-Juste?
So first time I got to see Ben was actually at Alabama for the Senior Bowl. He was representing Minnesota. I was like, man, this is a big dude. He's like, what, 6'2", between 205 and 210, I'm sure. But he's just a tall guy. And that's usually what you kind of want in corners. But you don't want to be so big to where they're getting beat by those fast guys. But he's so physical. Kind of reminds me, like Ron's been comparing him to Peanut Tillman all training camp. I'm like, if we have anything like that, popping out fumbles like that every week, I'd be happy. But they really like him on the outside and Kendall back in the nickel spot, which I'm cool with because he looked amazing on the outside. He's been running with Cam Sims and all the big guys all camp long, just like William Jackson would. So it's going to be tough. You're going to see a lot of rotations. Jimmy Moreland had a great camp too. He had a couple interceptions in the nickel corner role, but I think Ben St-Juste has, starter material all over him. He just looks like a natural. He didn't let Cam Sims do anything on him. Like I said, he'd be going against guys like Kenny Galladay, some of the bigger guys in the league, maybe even tight ends on certain packages, so we're not getting bodied by tight ends like we do every single season. But I think Ben St-Juste is definitely he's going to at least put his name in that conversation. Like, you need to get me on the field this play because his game's tough. He's a baller.
Yeah. And for maybe some of the younger fans who are watching this stream tonight, I think Coach Rivera, of all people, comparing Benjamin St-Juste to Charles Tillman, that's quite the comparison when you consider Ron Rivera. I mean, he coached in Chicago, and obviously he's a Chicago Bears legend. And like I mentioned off camera, like I go to school in Chicago, so like, I mean, when you say Peanut Tillman, that's some legendary stuff. So
that's like Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I've heard even like Richard Sherman sort of like comparisons as well because of his athletic traits, right? Being like 6'2", 6'3", and having a really good 3-cone drill as well. But I agree with you. Sky's the limit for this cornerback that we drafted in the 3rd round, and really the cornerback group as a whole. I do want to ask you though about the safety group, and more specifically about the guy who you just said is was the defensive MVP from training camp, and that is Landon Collins. I mean, 9 months. 9 months. He suffered a Achilles injury 9 months ago, and he's back better than ever per reports and per your eyes being there at training camp. Do you think he's in for a big bounce back season for us?
I mean, I wasn't expecting that at all. Like, a lot of people weren't even expecting him to like not be on the PUP list, and then he trots out first practice, like first play of practice. Like, oh, okay, there's Landon. Like, let's see what he's got, and then he's all over the field. Like, I've never seen him this cut in my life. Like, I don't know what kind of rehab and like physical therapy he was doing, but man, like whatever they did to Captain America, like when he went in that chamber and came out, that's what they did to Landon Collins, because he's back to that Alabama 26. Like, it must be the number, because he put that jersey back on, and it's like he's right back at Tuscaloosa. But it's funny to me because you have Cam Curl, and I love Cam Curl. I think he had a great season. People like, oh, we don't need Landon anymore. We got Cam. But like, it's not a bad problem to have a lot of good players. And people seem to think that Landon Collins just had this terrible season. Like, yes, there's like 2 or 3 plays that stand out. But there's a lot of plays where, when he is like at the line of scrimmage, he's stopping runs. He's stopping, quarterback, runs on the outside and stuff like that. And then he made a couple interceptions before he got hurt. But like, I think Landon Collins having this terrible season, like, I don't know where that came from. And it's not me being biased at all.
Yeah.
Like, I went back and rewatched how he played before he got hurt. I think he was having a good season. And then, of course, Cam Curl coming on the scene, just kicking the door open and say, hey, this is my time to, get on stage. And he made the most of it. It's not a bad thing to have a lot of good players. And we saw a lot of plays where Landon and Cam were on the field at the same time. Or we saw a lot of plays where they used like 3 safeties, and there'd be Landon, Cam, and then like Bobby McCain. There's going to be a lot of disguises, a lot of schemes to draw up. Like, Jack Del Rio just has a giant puzzle. He can just do whatever he wants every single play. That's a good thing. And like people are like, oh, we're paying Landon Collins too much. You can make that argument. I'm not going to like fight you about that. But don't think that Landon's just going to like roll over and just, not have a role in his team, because he does. Like, after what I've seen, I was like, okay. Landon, to me, had the most interceptions at camp. He was the most hype. He was in every single play. There's one play. He almost killed Dax Milne. It was like borderline late hit, and it was like coming towards us on a tackle. Dax just dropped the ball and just rolled over, and Landon Collins ran him over. And everyone's like, okay, Landon, like, we see you. Like, he was hustling every single play. So Landon Collins has a spot on this team. And, Alex Smith, comeback player of the year last year, like, Landon Collins, it's not out of the question for me.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Saquon's the obvious, like, number 1, but
yeah. It'd be nice to have like 2 consecutive comeback players of the years and 2 consecutive defensive rookie of the years, right? Jamin Davis and Chase Young. So maybe we can make that happen. But I do want to ask you though. So we touched on Landon Collins, but what about the rest of the safety group? Who do you think is going to make the final roster out of all the guys who are competing there?
Man. It's tricky. I like Bobby McCain. Yeah. He's so small. I didn't realize how small he was. He's like 5'10". He's really small. I like Jeremy Reeves a lot too. And I think that the staff likes Jeremy Reeves a lot. But then you have to think about you have to think about all the guys that could rotate there too. Like, Kendall played a lot of free safety at Kansas City when he left and came back. St. Juice played a lot of safety, not at Minnesota, but they had him playing safety at the Senior Bowl camp. He did a little bit of, safety drills. So there's a lot of pieces for it. But man, to me, it's don't be surprised if DeShazer Everett gets cut. Like,
really?
Yeah. And like Lake said the same thing to me. He's like, dude, like if there's a surprise vet cut like Adrian Peterson was, he's like, it's DeShazer Everett. Yes, special teams captain. Like, yes, he's been on this team.
Coach Rivera.
But then you got the injuries, and it's just it might be time because of Bobby McCain and Cam Curl and Jeremy Reeves having showed some flash when he played with Cam late in the season together with them. It's like, don't be surprised if DeShazer Everett gets cut. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Do you think though that maybe because Bobby McCain sort of offers you that versatility, right? Like as a cornerback, slot cornerback, nickel cornerback, and safety, that they might go with 5 safeties they might go with 5 safeties and maybe cut down on the cornerbacks and work it out from there? Or I think that's a possibility.
Yeah, because like I said, like Kendall, he can go out to free safety if you need him to. Like he has no problem with that. Like he did really well with Kansas City at the free safety spot. So we're so deep at corner. Like you look at the depth chart, you're like, oh man, I forgot about that guy. Like Jimmy Moreland, like I said, you have like 3 guys that can easily play, slot corner and start.
Yeah.
And then you have all these guys on the outside too. Like I wasn't mad about losing Darby at all, and like William Jackson's such a huge upgrade over him. But to me, this is probably one of the better secondaries we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
And you can say that about a lot of position groups, wide receiver too. But corners, we're deep, but I think we keep 4 safeties, maybe 5.
Okay.
Depends.
Now for in my opinion, the more fun questions, the questions that will be a little bit more interesting. So this is just some like roster team record questions. So top 10 players on the Washington football team. Go.
Oh, top 10, like in order?
Yeah, in order.
Oh man, I gotta write this down. I think number 1 you have to say Sheriff just because he was the All-Pro. Like I think that's like the popular pick.
I wish.
But I don't want to say that.
I'm gonna give you a round of applause because you are probably one of the few people who have joined the Watch Football Weekly live stream who have actually credited Sheriff so much so that you place him at number 1 on this roster right now.
I have to.
There's been a lot of hate. I'm just saying. There's been a lot of hate. A lot of people in the comments know, but I appreciate that. Go ahead.
I mean, like I said, he's the first All-Pro we've had in like God knows how long. So like,
Exactly.
At least give him that. I know he's on his second tag. Number 2. This is where it gets so hard because like, do you put Terry McLaurin over Chase? And I say yes. I say 2 Terry. And they had him as like what, the 12th best wide receiver in the league on Madden, which I know it's just Madden. But they were putting him over some big names, but I think he could have like jumped a couple more. Oh man, Chase 3.
Okay.
I feel like I'm gonna like forget somebody. This is gonna make me mad. I want to forget somebody.
I'll give you I can just give you some names here. So Terry, Chase, Brandon Sheriff. I mean, obviously Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, William Jackson third.
Hold on now. I might have to put Jonathan Allen at 3.
Okay.
Yeah, take Chase off. Put Jonathan Allen 3. Maybe even
Jonathan Allen over Chase Young.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's kind of a hot
That's
take.
not the Alabama. Like to me, he's the leader of the defense. And like I think that shows. I want to go Chase, Deron Payne, then Sweat.
Deron Payne over Montez Sweat?
Yeah. Dude, Deron Payne's a beast. Yeah.
But you just raved about Sweat and his performance in training.
That's good, but Deron Payne is that dude. Like he's that good. He gets off the blocks so well. And I need to start taking this flag down because people are gonna think it's just all biased for Alabama guys. But like, I promise you, Deron Payne is up there with Jonathan Allen. Like he's as good. He's not the same level, but he's pretty close. What up, Corey?
Oh, Corey. Josh, can you say again who you have as your number 1 guy on the roster? Because this is definitely gonna.
Corey's gonna unfollow me. Brandon Sheriff, Corey. Corey probably wants me to say Taylor Heineke. Watch.
Sorry. Go ahead. I know Corey's gonna get a kick out of that, but yeah.
Oh yeah. I'd put William Jackson the 3rd. Like I said, I think he's our best secondary guy. I'd put him right with Sweat. Like I'm trying to like do like the overalls in my head, like maybe 82, 83. And then maybe Kendall. Where would you personally put Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson? That's the hard 2. Like where do you plug those in your top 10?
I had them tied for 9th. So I had 9A
Okay.
Curtis Samuel. I had 11 players total. 9A Curtis Samuel, 9B Antonio Gibson. That's how I had it. Obviously, yeah, I think Gibson is going to be potentially top 5, top 6 by the end of the season. But
yeah, and then you got Logan Thomas. Like I feel like those 3 can like fight for those last 3 spots, like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
which is tough because I think Curtis Samuel is going to have a huge season too. Like I'd put him in like the mid to low 80s. So then I would say Logan Thomas, I'd probably give him like an 83, 84, like overall if I'm doing like Madden.
Yeah.
But then I put Gibson right there with him. So that'd be my last three. I don't have an order, but like Gibson, Logan Thomas, and Curtis Samuel in any order you want. But I agree with you. I think Antonio Gibson has the ability to sneak into that top 5 for the team.
Yeah. But if we're talking about Madden, I mean, Kendall Fuller, 88, 89 in Madden, which is kind of a
little suspect. Yeah, I mean, I love Kendall. I think he's a beast, but I think William Jackson's better. I think he's going to be a new fan favorite, William Jackson, because of how he plays, how athletic he is. And, like, he goes for the ball in a different way than, like, Kendall. Like, Kendall anticipates passes and then just, like, jumps the routes.
Yeah.
William Jackson's going to body you up the entire route and then just go up and get it and snatch it out of your hands. Like, very physical. And I think fans are going to love that in his play style. Yes, Logan Thomas is in the top 10. Don't worry. You know, whether you want him to be a quarterback or tight end, he'll be in the top 10, Corey.
Yeah. And Jonathan Allen is better than Chase Young, Corey, as well. Don't forget that.
He is.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, those are two things, the Sheriff and the Jonathan Allen takes. I mean, that's
I'd say Sheriff 1,
yeah.
Jonathan Allen, Terry. Ugh, it's so tough. I kind of want to move Jonathan Allen to 2 over Terry.
Over Terry? I don't know.
Got that bag for a reason. Like, we paid him for a reason. By the end of the season, he's going to be a high 80 on Madden. Put that. Ocho Cinco, I know you're not going to watch this. You do your Madden rating changes.
Isn't
Jonathan
he
Allen's
already
going
a high 80? Jonathan Allen?
I think he's like 87, 86. I think he's going to be 88, 89. I'll put 89.
Okay.
It's like a quarter with a cat.
No, I think I'm not gonna lie. For most of the offseason, I did have Brandon Sheriff as my number 1 guy. But I think, and again, I think Corey's gonna like this, but put some more thought into it, and I realized that I just think there are 2 players on this roster that are better than Brandon Sheriff at this point, even though they weren't all pros or anything. You gotta also consider, Corey again is gonna love that I'm saying this, but the dearth at right guard last year. You know, there are a lot of guys who were injured. Sure, Brandon Sheriff was an all-pro, and he definitely played very well, but I think many of us fans realized that last year wasn't even his best season, if we're going to be honest, in his career. So I have the guy who, the player that, you know, my only jersey right now is for this player, and that is Terry McLaurin. That's my number 1 guy. Number 2, I got Chase Young, but I think he will be number 1 by the end of the season. Number 3, I got Brandon Sheriff. Of course, you touched on why he's ranked so high. First All-Pro since 1995, and that was a punter, so that tells you all you need to know about Brandon Sheriff. Number 4, I got Montez Sweat. Number 5, I got
killing me. Wow, no love for Jay. And you said you're an Alabama fan. On behalf of the Roll Tide community, we made a shoot. I'm just kidding.
I'm always Roll Tide, but I have him at number 5, and I think that's fair. That's fair.
That's fine.
That's fair.
I feel like you can make an argument for him being number 1. I know that's gonna be crazy to you.
Okay. So I thought I was one of the few people out there that like truly appreciate Jonathan Allen, but I'll give it up. I think you appreciate him much more, maybe a little bit too much, but I mean I have him top 5. It's not like I'm hating or anything. Like there's people out there who have him below all of our defensive linemen, including Matt Ioannidis, and towards the end of the top 10, if not outside of the top 10. Like there's been people on this stream that have said that over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, bring him back on. Bring me on next time they're on. We're gonna.
No, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we're gonna have a big debate about ranking the 4. I'll even say like 5 or 6 people in D line. Like, well, I'll even put Tim Settle in the argument just to make it funny.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I have him as our best defensive tackle, our best interior defensive lineman. I think that's.
I would hope so.
I just say that's not like Aiden or like I don't know.
Like I said, Deron Payne's actually really close, and like they both do such a good job getting off block. Like that's what they do. what their job is to, yes, get to the quarterback, but also they just wreak havoc and help out Chase Young and Montez Sweat so many times.
Yeah.
Like, they're on a block, throw their guy right off. Like, I love watching them play so much. Like, Deron Payne, I did a little bit of the scouting academy this offseason, and I watched a lot of Deron Payne tapes. And, yeah, they're not sacks. And it's funny. People are like, well, how many sacks do they get? Like, just actually watch them play every single snap on, like, all 22 film. And it's, like, beautiful because they're just throwing the guys to the side, and they'll even sometimes pick up a second block and, like, get through that one. And then you're like, oh, Chase got the sack. Or the quarterback had to roll it as an incompletion. Like, it was a pressure. Like, there's so many things that go into it. And I call them Gamecast fans. Like, don't even watch the game. And then they go on ESPN like, oh, they got half a sack. Like, Montez Sweat or something. Chase Young didn't have a phenomenal season. Like, BS. All that Chase Young stuff going around Twitter, by the way, was like today and yesterday. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Sitting here debating if Chase Young had a phenomenal season. I don't care what kind of season he is. Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he's the future of our franchise. Like, you can measure up sacks, do however you want. But I was like, I'm not even going to say anything about that because I was like, I'm going to just bite my tongue and let Chase do the talking.
Okay. And just to like wrap this part of the show up quickly. So I don't have Deron Payne after Jonathan Allen. So it's Jonathan Allen, then it's William Jackson III. Like I said, I might be the guy that's like most high on William Jackson III out here in the Washington football team fan community. I think he's going to be insanely good this year. I really believe that. You talked about iron sharpening iron with him and Terry, right? Having that duel pretty much throughout training camp. And I think William Jackson III, he played him in Cincinnati, didn't get much of the spotlight, but now, like, we saw what Ronald Darby became last year behind this defensive line, right? And with
the rest of the secondary help, like, yeah.
I mean, and the linebacker group wasn't even that good last year. And then now you have Jamin Davis roaming around the middle. You have Matt Ioannidis back, hopefully, fingers crossed, for, if not a full season, then more games than he played last year, which I think was like 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have William Jackson III, 6. Matt Ioannidis ahead of Deron Payne. Yes. Matt Ioannidis ahead of Deron Payne.
I'm not mad about it. Like, those 3, they go at it all the time.
Yeah. And also, I don't think a lot of fans are like talking about this enough. Last year, the first couple of games when Matt Ioannidis was playing, right, our rush defense was so much better than when he ultimately like left. I think it was week 3, week 4 with that season-ending injury. Like, we saw the end of the season stats, right? I think we were like middle of the pack, 16th or 15th in rush defense. I'm telling you, Matt Ioannidis makes such a big difference when it comes to defending the run. Obviously, we have great pass rushers along that defensive line, but I think Matt Ioannidis is that cog when it comes to like stopping the run. I think that's, for me personally, that gives him the edge over Deron Payne. And then, like I said earlier, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson tied for 9, and then I have Cameron Curl actually right behind me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Respect to Curl.
Yeah. Yeah.
His dad's hilarious, by the way, Greg.
Greg.
One of the funniest dudes on Twitter.
Oh my. Yeah. Yeah. But moving on from the top 10 players, I want to ask you a couple more questions before we end. And the next question I want to ask you is in regards to the division. Do you think Washington is going to be repeat division champs? And how do you see like the records playing out for all 4 teams?
I think the entire balance of the NFC East is in Dak Prescott's hands. Like, I don't know how he's going to play. I don't know how he's going to look. You could say the same with Fitzpatrick. Like, if he goes out and wins some games for us, like, awesome. Mm-hmm. But I think it ultimately comes down to Dak Prescott. And, like, can the defense be good enough? Like, it's not going to be good. They're going to be bottom 5. I don't care if they added, Micah Parsons. He has to win them games, which is going to be tough, coming back from the injury. So I love odds for Washington. I think we're like plus 250 to repeat, maybe to win the division. Maybe it's gotten better, like plus 200 in Vegas. So I really like those odds because of our defense and because our offense got better. And I think Fitzpatrick has that ability to just say, like, hey, I need to win this game right now. Yeah. I'm not going to check the ball down. I'm going to, do what I have to do to put the team on my back, kind of, swagger that he has. So I like our odds to repeat. I don't think that's like a homer pick at all. I think it's safe to say we we are set up the most to succeed out of all the teams in the NFC East.
What about Deshaun Watson, the wild card?
It's not going to happen. Those things going on today, his agent and stuff came out today. Like, no, there's been absolutely no movement. Like, there's just so much going on with that. And I know they said teams have done like a thorough look at all the investigations, like everything's good. I think there's still some more to there. I've seen some talk show videos involving Deshaun Watson's name, some questionable actions that were kind of strange, but I don't see anyone giving up 4 first-round picks and 2 starting players to get a guy that might not play. But so, if it's me, I say Washington. I say Washington, Dallas, New York, Eagles, but it wouldn't surprise me if Giants finish second. I think people aren't respecting the Giants enough. If Daniel Jones, learns to not turn the ball over, he's got Saquon coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They could do something. So,
yep. Do you think, in terms of record prediction for our team, what I personally have him at 9-8, if not 8-9. Last year, going into the season, I had them at 7-9. So, do you think, even though they are better, I think a lot of us fans know that based off their roster and stuff, their win-loss record might not show, that they're completely better than they were last year? Or do you think, like Corey says here, 12-5 or even better than that?
No, Corey. Yeah, we got interviewed by the news after training camp. I thought Corey he took the girl's microphone. He took his glasses off. He said, "We're going 12-5. Put that on anything like bet your house. We're gonna win the NFC. We're gonna sweep everybody." I was like, let me step off the camera. So I'm not associated with Corey right now. But no, I'm kidding. I've been going back and forth on this. I'd say 10-7's safe because once again, our Vegas odds say 8.5. I think that's easy. Over 8.5 games. Come on now.
You said safe though, Josh.
I say
you added
10-7. That's good. That's a safe
good. There's a difference between good and safe. Safe is like we don't know.
Corey said 13-4, so
he's just trolling though. I don't know.
I think 10-7. If I had to put money on an exact record, I would say 10-7. I feel good about that. Okay. I think we beat the Chargers. I think we beat the Giants going out of week 2. Who do we have week 3? Giants week 2.
Oh yeah, week 2. I can look it up.
But who we have week 3. And then week 4, Falcons. Their defense isn't good. Obviously, they got Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, but I feel like we can shut that down enough to win a game.
I think you're sleeping on the Chargers though. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Chargers.
No, I think they're really good, but their offensive line is so bad. And the thing that's going to help them win the game is Justin Herbert. But if he can't throw the ball, he's not going to do nothing. I think he's a beast, but adding one dude, Rashawn Slater, to that offensive line is not going to stop the other 3 guys that we got coming at him at the same play.
He's been standing out though. I mean, he
looked great. Like I said, he ain't blocking 4 guys.
Yeah.
That's gonna be such a good game. I'm definitely going to that game. I've got my tickets for that one. The first game of the season is gonna be jumping. Corey better be at that game because if we go 0-1, I'm gonna look right at Corey. I'm like, what the heck, Corey? You said 13-4.
13-4.
No, I feel good about that. I feel like starting out the season, we've got some good games. Obviously, Rodgers going back to Green Bay kind of hurt. That swayed one of my wins to losses. But we played them pretty good. Even when we had Haskins that one game, we almost beat them. So you just never know. They're going to have those surprise games like when we beat the Steelers last year. It always happens every single year. You're going to have the 49ers get a ton of injuries like it happened last year. It's just, you never know. So for me, I feel like 10-7, book it, put it in the books. That's exactly what you want.
Okay. And as we approach the hour mark on this stream, a very quick question here, and then the question I always save for last on every stream will come right after. But I know college football, you love college football. I believe you do a podcast around college football as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Starting one up next week, actually, on the 12th, if that's next week or a week and a half away. Another podcast for the Believe Network with a bunch of a former college player and then my guy Blaine, who covers Georgia through Rivals. That dude is everywhere. So it's going to be fun. Alabama, Georgia fan on the same podcast together, as you know. That doesn't always go well, but Blaine's an awesome guy, so I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah. So this question isn't even about, the second part of it is about Alabama, but like the first part, what does Texas and Oklahoma's move to the SEC mean for the landscape of college football? Will we get the end of the NCAA anytime soon? And do you think that I wrote here our Alabama Crimson Tide
Absolutely, Roll Tide,
repeat champions, regardless of everything that went on this offseason.
Oh man, it's so hard to make a prediction for who's going to win it all. But so many good teams. We haven't seen this in a long time. So many top teams are replacing their quarterbacks. Alabama, obviously Spencer Rattler's like the one guy coming back to where they could do something. But Clemson, Ohio State, like everyone's replacing their quarterbacks. Brennan just went down for LSU. Not that they're really much of a threat, but like everyone's replacing. So it's gonna be really tough. But I love Bryce Young. I can't wait to see what he does in Tuscaloosa. Top guy out of California. Last year, everyone was surprised he even picked Alabama. Like everyone thought he was going to go to USC, and he can throw that thing. He can run. He can run really well. So I think Alabama does have really good odds. A lot of guys on defense coming back. Love Malachi Moore. Will Anderson's one of the best pass rushers in college football. I think we can repeat. I don't see a team in the SEC really threatening us besides Georgia. It depends what JT Daniel does, though. But as for Texas and Oklahoma, man, I'm not looking forward to that at all. And I really want to see how the SEC really breaks that up, because I don't know if it's going to be like one goes to the east, one goes to the west, or are they going to break it up into like these little pods you see, like these concepts on Twitter? Because it looked terrible. It was like Alabama, Auburn, Oklahoma, or like Georgia and like another good team. I'm like, dang on, they're stacking us. But you're going to see the Pac-12 and Big 12 combine sooner or later. Or you're going to see the Big 12 pick up teams like Boise State, Houston, maybe UCF. I don't know if they'd really slide into that, but you're going to see a lot of these independent or big name, like Boise State's in the Mountain West. You're going to see some of those big teams finally go to a big conference. But there's been talks that Pac-12 and Big 12 have been talking together. West Virginia is probably going to go to the ACC. I mean, there's just going to be so much shifting going on. And luckily we have, 4 years till all this happens, and it allows the other teams to kind of catch up and make a plan. So they're not like frantically running around like, who are we going to be playing every single season? I was glad that it wasn't like the next 2 seasons. I feel like that'd be too rushed. But man, and my thing is this is the back half of Nick Saban's career. This, Texas, Steve Sarkisian, Oklahoma, y'all got 4 years to prep to beat Nick Saban every single season. If you still can't do it, he's the GOAT. I already think he's the GOAT. But if you still can't beat an old Nick Saban 4 years after being able to prep for him, and you cannot recruit him, then you shouldn't even be in the SEC. You should just stay in the Big 12 and lose all your recruits to look at Corey. Who's your college team? Was it the Hokies with his lunchbox mentality, whatever it is?
I've been waiting patiently. I didn't want to cut you off at all, but this comment right here, never took Nati as a Bama. I've been a Bama fan since 08, 09, okay? And I've been a fan since the Mark Ingram days, since the Greg McElroy days. So I've been a fan for a long time, Corey. This isn't like, like a 2020, 2021 thing, bro. Also, I always say this on the channel. It's not like I'm rooting for, I don't know if you might not feel the same way about this, but it's not like I'm rooting for Alabama over the DMV team. I'm rooting for Virginia Tech and
I'm not at all. I hate Tech.
Okay.
I don't have anything against UVA. I work 10 minutes from UVA. The stadium sucks. Their team always sucks. Sorry to my buddy Scott, who will literally die for the swim team if he had to. But to me, it's Alabama. That's it. If you ever see me in Tuscaloosa, it's borderline me getting arrested at a Tennessee game, because during the kick six, I threw my grandma's remote through a wall. I felt bad. I genuinely threw that big old thick DirecTV remote through her wall, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I had to. That was the worst night of my life.
That was terrible.
And I've actually cried at a game. I'm not afraid to say the screen pass TJL and the LSU.
Yeah.
One of my favorite plays all the time. Exactly, Roger. Roll Tide. My uncle, I spent a lot of summers with him, and I remember growing up watching high school tapes of Julio, Mark Ingram, John Parker Wilson. What was that show? 2 Days on MTV, like when they were back in Hoover.
Yeah.
Like I watched that all the time. So like my early times were like 06, 07, right before they kicked off. And then obviously was it 08 against Utah. Freaking Urban Meyer beat us in the Sugar Bowl. One of the worst games of my life, losing to Utah. I think Alex Smith was quarterbacking too. So yeah, it was rough. But like I said, Texas, Oklahoma, you got 4 years of prep for Nick Saban. If you still lose to him, there's nothing that can help you out.
Yeah.
UVA, but it's a business. Only thing UVA has that's good is White Spot, the burger joint that just got bought out by Ralph Sampson.
Oof.
That place is good.
Oof.
Egg on a burger, and then they got these 2 donuts. They put ice cream on it. Look, I'm about to go get my hair cut right at the corner tomorrow. I'm about to stop in there before we go to Friday practice because that thing is so good. That's a big old burger, man.
Yeah. UVA. Last but not least, like I said, usually love to save this question for last on these live streams because it's a big one. But what are your thoughts on the future of this Washington football franchise? Do you think that Coach Rivera is building a winner to the point where this team might win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years?
Ooh, next 2 to 3 years, that's tough. Yeah. I will say on the field, off the field, absolutely. Obviously, this is probably the most changes the team's had since moving from Boston. With the name change, coaching, obviously Dan Snyder's not going anywhere. He's 100% owner, but Jason Wright coming in. So many changes going on. It's so easy to be like, oh, yeah, we are set up to fail because we're starting over. Not at all. Like Ron Rivera hit the ground running that first season with everything he was going through. I mean, I don't even have to, go into depth into everything with COVID, his cancer, and then just the whole new team, just learning everybody, just starting over. And then same with Jason Wright, looking ahead at stadiums, changing the name, like all these off the field things. We were absolutely setting ourselves up to succeed long term. And that's like the refreshing thing. Like it's not a feeling of like, hey, this is our, 2-year window. We have to win the Super Bowl right now, or we're going to start over again. It's like with the young core we have, with the business decisions we're making with, Jonathan Allen, Logan Thomas, these good guys getting their contracts, we're setting ourselves up to succeed for many years. Could we win the Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years? Anything can happen. I say, like, it could happen.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers could be here next season, and in that case, we'd win 3 straight. But without Aaron Rodgers, we could draft Sam Howell in the first round, and he could be the next savior, and we could, win 2 more. We could get Malik Willis from Liberty. Like, you just don't know. There's so much that can go into it, but we're setting ourselves up to succeed. It's not like we have a ton of decisions to make coming up. We're going to have to let a lot of good guys go. Like maybe Sheriff, Morgan Moses. We're not even going to remember Morgan Moses in the next, week 3. When Sam Cosme's balling out, it's going to be whatever. It's a business decision. You have to do it. Corey, I quote you. Corey said he's going to get an Aaron Rodgers tattoo. If we get Aaron Rodgers, he said he's going to get him to a discount double check in the middle of FedEx Field on his back. I didn't say it. Corey said it. And I agree with him. I'd go get one too. But yeah, you've got to be excited. And like I said, if you're not going to these events, like I hope we show our passion and like how excited we are through, our platforms. They're going to play a practice game tomorrow night in their firm for 2. Oh yeah. So they're doing I don't know if it's going to be it's not going to be like a scrimmage. Pete asked Ron today, and Ron said, we're going to practice. Like, he didn't want to say too much. So I don't know if that's like a good thing or just coach talk, if he's just like, hey, we're not playing a full game. But from what I heard, it's on the new turf. Everything looks phenomenal. It looks so good. I haven't been there in like 3 years just because I was living out of state. And then obviously COVID last season. But we're going to see the full entertainment team. We're going to see the drum line, which we saw a little bit that one Saturday for training camp, but they're saying it's like a full-on. Oh, there's so much going on. Yeah, the go-go was hype. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people surprised. I had no idea what that was. It kind of surprised me.
That's sad. I'm sorry. Yeah. Again, I hate to interject. That's sad, man. That's DC culture. Like I have so many thoughts on that.
Yeah, but fight for old DC, but you know nothing about DC.
Yeah.
Anyways, But yeah, tomorrow's going to be insane. Like if you're going, I can't wait to meet everyone that goes. If not, like I said, I'm going to try to get as much as possible. We were supposed to be allowed to record there, and then we got a late message saying, hey guys, sorry, but like we got, privacy stuff came up. Like we can't have people like recording the practice. But it's just like the team couldn't do videos or pictures at today's practice in Ashburn. Like Brandon Walker and all them, like, hey, we can't tweet out any videos. So, I mean, if you imagine like 20 podcasters all videotaped, we would get probably every single play, and it's just going to be out there. So completely understandable. I'm going to be up in like VIP and like the suites, and I'll go down and talk to everybody throughout practice. But it's hype. I can't say anything else going on tomorrow, but I heard it's gonna be a lot of crazy stuff I've never personally seen like at any sporting event. So if it actually happens, it'd be pretty sick. It's kind of hinted on Twitter a while back, like it floated around for a second and then it kind of like died off. But I think they're gonna do some crazy stuff tomorrow. I think it's at 5:30. I'm getting there at like 4. So yeah, if y'all are going, if anyone is, hit me up or just walk up to me, say hey. A lot of people did that training camp. You'd be surprised. Like, oh, yeah, hey. Like, the first time I saw Rio, he was just getting out of his car. I just ran up on him. Like, hey, what's up, Rio? Like, first time ever meeting these guys, but I felt like you've known them forever. So, yeah, I'm hyped. I've never been hyped about a practice. I'm driving about 2.5 hours to get to the stadium. And I got to open Saturday, so I'm going to be hurting. So, y'all pray for me Saturday morning. But it's absolutely going to be worth it.
Yeah. No, I hope you have a hope everyone has a great time tomorrow night. And looking forward to hearing like all the stuff that goes down tomorrow. And man, this is gonna be a good year. I really think so. Great future. Aaron Rodgers, please, that would be great next year. But even without Aaron Rodgers, I think the future is bright. And Josh, thank you so much, bro, for joining the Watch Football Weekly stream. It's been a really fun discussion. Brandon Sheriff, I always remember you as the guy that actually showed Brandon Sheriff love on the stream.
You got to. You have to.
That's a very rare thing on here. Corey knows something about that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thank you everybody in the chat for commenting throughout the hour plus tonight. Roger Smith, Deacon Mac, Awesomeness Sports, Redskins Weekly, Hawk, Corey, Door Gunner, everybody. Thank you guys for joining. And with that being said, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to DMV Sports Zone channel. We try to post fire content on here as much as possible. Oh my gosh, guys, we are nearing 1,000 subs. We grew so much over the last 2.5 weeks, and that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you guys so much. Let's continue to grow, and make sure to follow Josh on everything. I made sure to link everything in the description if you haven't already followed him. And Josh, any last things before we end the stream?
No, you said it's going to be a crazy year. Like I said, being out here, I'm going to try to go to as many events as possible. So like you said, it's going to put all my stuff on there, like the Twitter, Josh Taylor, WFT. Burgundy Network Podcast. Like I said, part of a great group at Believe Network. I mean, there's guys like Jason Campbell we're going to have on the podcast soon. Just some big guests like that. So check us out. I try to share as much as possible that I'm allowed to with the team. So follow on Twitter if you one of those out-of-state people, or like our guy Andy across the pond can't make it to these things, and I'll try to share all these experiences with everybody. That's our main thing. Like, we don't try to show out, or look better than anyone. We just want everyone to be there. And I mean, I was handing out tickets to everybody at training camp that I could see. I'm like, who needs a ticket? Like, let me know. I will find you one. And this is the most united I've ever seen this fan base. So it's going to be a great season. So be a part of it. And if you're not, you're definitely going to miss out. So
Damn, that's great words to end on. Everyone have a great rest of your evening. And hopefully, again, we see some good things out of practice tomorrow night.
Yeah, roll tide.
Yeah. All right.